Everybody, why don't we go ahead and call the meeting to order? Here it's 5 after already. Oh, time's a wasted.
Thank you.
Before we get started, formally, I'll just kind of send this book around. This is Gladys's book, the result of her research at the National Archives, which has been relocated to Highway 7 and I-25. And apparently it's a huge facility. It used to be at the Federal Center. And so what she did was to pull together all these draft registration materials for people who lived in and around Superior in World War II. So it's got a lot of really good information on it. She's very proud of this, and rightfully so. So we'll just kind of send. And Bob, Bob got his own copy of it. So.
I think you must be in there, Bob.
No,
You weren't registered, you were too young.
There's what, the Lipinski boy in there. Him and one of my cousins went into the Marines together.
Oh.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. And
what was your cousin's name?
Carpenter. Lived over there in Louisville. Anyway.
Pretty neat. Yeah, that's real neat. Yeah. So she spent a couple of days, I guess, just pulling out, I don't know how you do it, but she pulled it out.
How long has that facility been there?
Not too long, a couple of years.
I don't know.
Highway 7 and I-25.
Yeah.
Which corner?
Oh, I
It's
don't
on the
know.
left-hand side as you're going out.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in the northwest.
Oh, okay.
Northwest corner.
Northwest.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Well, we have, as usual, a lot of stuff to cover and a lot of exciting news breaking throughout the county talk about today. And so it's nice to have Mr. Morgan with us this morning. Feeling better, right, Bob?
Yeah.
And welcome to Daryl and Joe as well. And so Karen, you want to do the minutes of the last meeting?
Okay, meeting minutes, October 19th, 2018. The meeting was called to order by Chairperson Larry Dorsey. In attendance were commission members Larry Dorsey, Lindsay Flewelling, Katie Olson, Errol Waligorski, and Karen Waligorski. Staff Brian Meyer, and others Joe Sorelli. The minutes of the September 21st meeting were read. Lindsay Flewelling moved that they be approved as amended. Katie Olson seconded the motion, and the motion carried. The treasurer's reports were given as follows. Brian Meyer reported that the historic donations account currently has a balance of $766.50. The members discussed taking this balance down to zero at the end of the year and determined they did not want to do that. Brian reported that there is $4,322.99 remaining in the 2018 historic preservation account. Debriefings were discussed as follows. There was a modest turnout at the museum opening on October 6th. Denzel Ackland's daughter, Cheryl Valentiner, and her husband came to visit. No one attended the Boulder Heritage Roundtable meeting on October 18th. Larry Dorsey reminded members of the upcoming historic Boulder Meet the Spirits event. No one attended the October 15th ANFRAM meeting at the Castle Rock Historical Society. The remaining 2 second-grade field trips, September 28th, Superior Elementary, and October 5th, Monarch K through 8, both went very well. Larry passed out copies of replies he has received from the schools. All were very appreciative of our programs at each location. It has been suggested that a more definitive time frame at each location should be spelled out next year. This method will eliminate some groups arriving too early at the next location and ensure that each group has the opportunity for a complete talk at each location. We will be writing up what we are including in each of our talks so that different members are able to do each presentation. Number 2, the Cataloging, Filing, and Donation Screening Committee did not meet this past month. Number 3, Jill reported on plans for the oral history video QR project. She will be meeting with Dave Dugdale to discuss some methods to be used to proceed. Number 4, Karen Waligorski reported that 2 thank you notes were sent to the Winter family and to Cliff Folsom for donations made to our museum. Thank you notes need to be sent to people who have donated money in memory of Denzel Ackland. 5, Brian Meyer reported on the cemetery working group and the meeting Karen Snortland had with the Cemetery Planning Resource Alliance, CPRA. An initial conceptual plan will be coming out soon. Number 6, Katie reported on the historic photos planning for the sports stadium. She will be emailing a finalized flyer to the members to look over. She has a list of the photos she wants to use. She will contact the Louisville Historical Museum regarding the photos. Number 7, Brian reported that the photo shoot with the Lafayette Fire Department will be postponed until the spring to ensure good weather for the photos. Number 8, Brian reported that the staff has met with the Kuffner family on plans for a memorial to George Kuffner. They are recommending a plaque near the backstop at Kuffner Field. Number 9, Lindsay Flewelling led a discussion of the long-term planning priorities from her list, including primarily items for community engagement programs, walking tours, and outreach. She will update it based on the discussion. She will hold a meeting regarding marketing outreach programs we could do. Number 10, the 2018 budget spending was discussed. We are awaiting a mock-up of the Lost Superior book from Daryl McCool to determine if we want to go forward and spend some of the 2018 budget money for reprinting of the book. Work is also progressing on the replacement of the barn front porch and restabilizing of the floorboards in the Grassl Park barn. Number 11, Wally Waligorski moved that we go forward with disposing of the Grassl Park farm equipment that is the wrong vintage for that park. Katie seconded the motion carried. Brian will approach George Leo Kuffner to see if he can remove it. New business. Staffing for the November 3rd museum opening was discussed. Larry is planning to go to the Boulder Heritage Roundtable meeting on November 15th at the Boulder Public Library. Members discussed our hosting an ANFRAM meeting in 2019, perhaps in one of the summer months. Members discussed the upcoming SHC annual Christmas potluck. Karen will send out an email for members to indicate their availability in December. Brian will check on whether it will be possible to hold it in the town hall. Members were reminded of the upcoming volunteer dinner on November 1st. Brian reminded members of the upcoming Count the Lights holiday event on December 1st. Under other business, Larry passed around a picture of a display case of equipment from the Lafayette Miners Museum. He is proposing we look for a similar case if it would fit in our museum. Wally moved that the meeting be adjourned at 11:50 and Lindsay seconded the motion. Next meeting will be November 16th.
Here we are.
Here we are.
The very last thing about the Lafayette Miners Museum, was that photograph of the mine model, the cutaway mine shaft?
No,
No.
No.
those are the tools, right?
Oh, it was the tools.
Tool display.
Right, got it, okay. Never mind. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of the October meeting? Okay. Motion to approve them?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Well, I wasn't here, but I approve them.
Oh, okay. Go right ahead.
We'll give Bob the second on that then.
Okay.
Okay. Got a consensus on that. Okay. Thank you, Karen, as always. And then, if you haven't noticed, Brian isn't here today. Brian changed, we have Brian the Transformer today.
Can I ask you a question about
Sure.
the old business?
Yeah.
The part about the historic donations account and you're not wanting to spend it by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
The town was kind of suggesting that you guys were saying you didn't want to do it. Did you get any feedback on whether there's a change on that or not?
A change on, so say that again.
What happened was that we have the donations that have come in for Denzel Ackland's memorialized Denzel Ackland, went into an account that if supposedly if we didn't spend it by the end of 2018, it would go away. And we didn't feel it was proper since they were donations in someone's memory.
Yep, and Brian did bring that up to me
Okay.
in case that it was brought up here in the meeting. And I think what Brian and I talked about is that basically what we need to do is come up with something for that money to be spent on. Something at the museum opening, like providing refreshments or something. You could say refreshments provided by, donations made, you know, in Denzel Ackland's name, and that's just an example. You guys can come up with anything, or maybe in the future, we can come up with a program. This program presented by donations collected, you know, something like that. And as of right now, we're waiting to hear from Jeff Stone, finance staff. But I don't think, I don't have the final answer, but it's not going to go to zero right now. We're still in communication on that.
Okay, and I don't think it was just the donations in Denzel's memory. It was the donations we get
Any
from
donation.
anything.
Okay, sure.
The jar in the
Yep.
museum and other ones.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah, so
account's been building up for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Bob has a report on how much is in there currently.
Yeah.
And I think what we can do is just come up with a plan for how we'd like to spend that each year, and then just make sure that we have a sign or something that states this program, this whatever, provided by donations made to the
But let's go back to
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah, and I'm glad, Joe, I was gonna say something, but I'm just gonna let it pass. We didn't all agree that that was a bad thing. I kind of agreed that we need to start using it, because I think what it was is that over the years, they're seeing that it's not being used, right? So they switched it, so,
Yeah, that's good.
you know, I think we just needed some fee. I think the biggest concern was that that was our October meeting, and it was like, okay, all of this has been switched.
Yeah,
And it
no.
has to be used by December 31st.
No, that
But
was just-
next
yeah.
year, we can kind of start figuring out, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're
programs, what are we
asking,
gonna,
Brian and I as staff are asking for that to be carried over one more year. And then in 2019, we need to make sure that we have a plan for it to be spent.
Okay. Good. Again, thanks for bringing that up. I'd forgotten about that. Bob, you've had some discussion with Brian about that, have you?
Well, not really. I just was wondering, have you and Brian received donations for Denzel's memorial in your office?
No, we haven't.
Other
No.
than what I've
Just what you've given us.
okay, because I've got a list here of where the donations came from, but I didn't know whether you got some that didn't come through our.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Bob, do you know if Cheryl Valentiner got any? I would assume if she got some made out to the Historical Commission, that she would get them to us.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from
Okay.
her, no.
Okay.
And I don't know about the funeral home, whether they would receive something or not, you know.
Unfortunately, it didn't go into the obituary in the paper.
Yeah.
And so, well, had it gone into that obituary, we could have expected more gifts, but since it didn't, people didn't know.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I thought it was in the obituary.
Cheryl said it had
No,
gotten,
it wasn't.
it wasn't in
I
there.
knew Ted Estes'
Well, yeah, there was.
thing didn't get into the obituary, but I thought
I
Denzel's
thought there
did.
was something to Karen.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we're mixing up
Papers.
Ted with.
I think I have a copy of it at home. Well, that's not important
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
but yeah.
Because I knew Cheryl was disappointed that that was the comment.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Speaking of financial things, Bob, you
Oh,
want to?
yeah, the current balance in the fire truck or restoration account is $770.50. Since I missed out on some, I've got to get with you folks there at the office because I have a little different figure.
Number.
Did you say 770, 50?
Yeah, 770, 50.
Okay, thank you.
And then the preservation account?
Yep, and that's still at $4,322 and 99 cents.
Because, well, we'll find it covered later, but Pedro hadn't got started on the project yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. At least he hadn't by Sunday or Monday.
What were those numbers again?
$4,322.99.
And this is, remember how much his was?
His is $1,200.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
So if we had 1,200 there and 800-ish for the combine removal, it's a couple thousand. Yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll do the debriefing, continue the debriefing here, and then Daryl's here to talk about the book. I thought maybe we'd insert that between number 1 and number 2, discussion about the Lost Superior book. So anybody want to give Karen some feedback on the Volunteer Appreciation Day?
Very, very great.
Very good.
Outstanding.
I love the photo of Karen that was in the
Campaign, yeah.
It's circulating.
Yeah, it was good.
That wasn't good.
Yes.
I expected her to autograph it.
Well, she should get a copy of that.
Yeah, that's
It's a
good.
really nice photo.
Yeah, I think everybody had felt like it was a nice event. Having a comedian helped, I think, because she could project in there. We had that problem last year where we had no trouble understanding the speaker. So, but I think they improved the PA system this year. Is that right, Karen?
Yes, we did. We used our portable system this year.
Okay.
Other business going on.
Museum opening on the 3rd, didn't have very many, just fewer than 10. We had brother and sister camp, both of them live here in Rock Creek, and the brother and their father are interested in being involved, but they aren't here today, so maybe someday they will. Danny was there. Did Danny come once?
Danny came twice.
It was his 2 day. It was his 2-visit day, and let's see. Anything else that happened on that day of importance?
Yeah, we won't say what he called his driver. That's immaterial.
This is being recorded, so. Yeah. So, cemetery tour DAR chapter. I'm still a little vague about this, but there's a chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution in Boulder. It seems to be comprised of people who don't live in Boulder.
They drive through though.
That's right. So, and then the way it was presented to me is they're going to put together a book about Boulder County cemeteries. So they'd read the 2 articles, 2 historians on the cemetery, and they wanted to look at the cemetery. So, so I met them on November 3rd, and they took a look through the museum first, and then went over to the cemetery, and I think there were about 10 or 12 people, and they looked around, took pictures, and so on, and they were pleasantly surprised or impressed or whatever with our cemetery. So I'll keep connection with them, contact with them, but one contact person about any progress on this project and share it with you as it evolves. And the gate was unlocked, and luckily I was able to find the chain in the lock. So I locked it up when we left, but I sent the message to Patrick and Brian. Karen, I don't know if I copied you or not, but at any rate, so I don't know why it was unlocked. And the skirting on the east side is, I think, worse than it was when we were there last. And I think it must be wind. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's vandalism, but more of it seems to be pulled away at the top. The screws are working their way loose and the wind's blowing or whatever. So I brought that up with Patrick, and so they're gonna look into that. So there's two issues there. Then we have the visitors and we have the condition of the cemetery. But it got cleaned up, after our spring visit. So there's still, the trash isn't too bad inside right now. Any questions about that?
Don't we have some of this year's money allocated toward the cemetery, or it's a special fund?
It's a special fund, yeah.
Okay. So that'll carry over. You don't have to rush it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Veterans Day ceremony on November 11th.
Snowy November
Yeah.
11th.
I'm sorry.
Snowy November 11th.
Snowy November 11th, it sure was. Gladys, I happened to see her yesterday, she said there were 22 people there. I kind of think there might be a few more than that, but the fire department was there, and I think out of the 22 people, something like 14 were veterans or something like that. So she was pretty proud of it all. I think a lot of cookies. She went around and got all these cookies donated from various places like Target and McDonald's, and then the fire marshal at the firehouse made a bunch of homemade ones. So, which I happen to find my way to those. So I'd say all in all, it went very well. There was some local residents with career military, some 4-year enlistees, and one guy who was a lieutenant colonel in the Army who was on the faculty at CU in military science, I guess in the ROTC program, and he lives in Rock Creek, so that was a good turnout under the circumstances. I think Gladys appreciated the support from the town on that. Questions? Went to the roundtable meeting yesterday, and just kind of the usual topics. If you're interested, if the weather isn't too bad, Carnegie Library is having an open house tomorrow, and the Boulder Museum, what's it called?
Museum of Boulder.
Yeah, that's it. I know I had the wrong sequence.
It's real catchy.
The mob, the Museum of Boulder is also having an open house tomorrow, and they're right next to each other. So if you're interested in learning more about either one of those, that's happening tomorrow, regardless of the weather, I guess. Other than that, there wasn't much. Gladys happened to be there at that meeting. So, if you have any questions, we'll see what Daryl has to say about the lost Superior. But I moved her up, that way she doesn't want to stay. She can stay as long as she wants to that way.
Thank
I feel
you.
like I have to wait till the end of the
I
meeting.
do have a CAPS project I want to follow up on. We're getting our mural framework put up on the path, and so I want to go and check on that. So
What's going to be in the
exciting.
framework?
So this, from 4th of July through the summer and fall, we've been working on a community mural project. We took a perfectly good mural and we cut it into 160 squares, and we had people paint their own square. They took the piece of the mural and they had to recreate it on a tile. And now we're going to put all the pieces back together over by the tunnel on 36 into it. A nice big mural.
All right.
But I did just check the obituary, and there is a reference to making donations to the Superior Historical Commission.
Okay.
So somebody might want to check with the funeral home and see if they did get any.
Thanks for doing that. I guess we mixed up Ted's situation.
There's no specific address, but there is a mention, so it would be worth checking with them to see, I imagine.
Yeah, the actual, I didn't mean to interrupt you here, but yeah, the only donations that have come in have been primarily from this group right here. That Drew Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think we hit other people in the communities. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, no. I just thought it was important because you guys were talking about it, and there may be money
Catherine
sitting
made
out there.
Yeah, and she's kind of part of us. Yeah.
That's good clarification. Thanks for doing that.
Okay, so Lost Superior, I'm sorry I don't have a proof. So a couple things happened. The original company that I had gotten the bid from no longer is in business. And the new company that they are doesn't do this size format. They don't do a landscape book. So I scrambled and found another one that would do it for $5.10 a book, which is, the other price I think was $2.96. So it's a little bit more, but it's still reasonable. You'd still be saving money and be able to make a little bit of money if you sell the books for $10. So I tried to upload the files to this book company, and they said it was unsupported format. And so I was disappointed, scrambled again, found other pricing, but then something occurred to me. So I looked at this actual file, and because I didn't create this, it's not a true 8.5 by 11. It is 10 by 8.75 and 8.375. So if you guys are okay and I make it a true 8.5 by 11, we can print it with the $5.10 company. And I can go ahead and get approved from them and do that. But I do have to make it, it's about a 1/4 inch each way. Most of the book, I did just do a sample. Most of the book is great. The numbers, I would just have to make sure all the page numbers were centered on the bottom. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that's where things were at. And the reason it wouldn't go through is because the print size was smaller.
Right.
So if you guys want to talk about or think about converting it to just a 1/4 of an inch bigger, we can move forward with the printing of it.
I'm still trying to get my mind around what difference that made, but
Standard.
It's a print, the printer has a especially when you're submitting things online, the file came in smaller to them. It's the online printing versus going to a printer. Like, we could walk into a print shop and ask them to do this. It would also cost considerably more, as you know, because the books we've gotten are about $15 per book if we go to a local printer. So there are, compensations that we have to make based on an online printing, which is also why it'd be great to get approved to see. So I do think it's worth that. I also wonder, once we get it, if you guys want to, we talked about changing the forward, and then there are a few buildings that are no longer in town that you might want to add to the book as well, like the post office and the house on William Street.
Anybody like suggest moving on with this then?
I'm wondering, is there a way to get a proof and leave it here so we can stop by and look at it or something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be
Is the
plan.
paper the same quality as that?
It is, I think so. It's hard to know because I can't actually go to that printer and touch it. But there are options. There's a premium and then there's a standard paper. And so it might be worth a little bit more money I can get you the pricing for I could probably actually do it right now.
It would be nice to kind of keep that same quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, again, another reason to get approved, to look at it and say, okay, this isn't the paper quality, this isn't the cover quality, we want to make some changes. There are
proofs for free?
No, it's the $5.10.
Oh.
For a book, right. The other company that I had gotten, it was $39 for a sample book, so that's actually a pretty good price. But let me see if I can pull up the...
And then, would this be printing on demand, like we print 100 at a time or something?
Exactly, so then you could decide how many you wanted to print and,
And then, what about the map with this new company?
So the map is a separate size, and we can get I think I don't have my, I can find it, but, oh, my map is lost. But I did get printing prices for that and folded, and I forget what those are. But do you have a copy of that bid?
Did you send that to me?
I did. I can pull it up. That's fine. But so the difference between standard white paper, so and premium. Oh, actually, the paper that I selected. Oh, black and white. $6.93 would be the difference if we upgraded the papers. So one option might be to get one of each. I mean, for under $15 for printing, it might be worthwhile, and then that way we can really have a hands-on sense of
Yeah,
which
really
you guys
tell the
like
difference,
best.
compare the
Yeah.
difference. Okay. Well,
So now does that price include the cost of the map, or is the map
The
separate?
map is a separate price,
Okay.
yeah. Hang on, actually, I can go find that.
Yeah, and I don't, was that,
That's okay.
I don't think I have
I almost didn't bring my computer.
good move.
Here's the proposal. So the map, it's an 18 by 24 folded to 9 by 8 inches, and the printing of that is $564.
For how many copies?
500, if we did 500, yeah.
Okay.
About a buck a copy, you know.
Yeah, and that's a similar print on demand. So printing has changed a lot. You can do 100, and it's not going to be that much more per map. And I
I haven't written anything yet.
I can get a price for just 100 too, but at the time you guys were talking 500.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So what do you think? Do you want to go ahead and get one of each, the regular paper and one of the premium?
That's what I'd like to
I
see.
think so.
I think we should.
Okay.
It's the only way we're going to be able to compare them.
Yeah. think
Yeah, I
we
mean,
really need
it's
to see
a
it.
minimal cost in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I
and,
think so.
Yeah.
And then are you guys okay if I convert, just add the 1/4 inch on each side so that it's a true 8.5 by 11?
Does the whole image get bigger, or are you adding margin?
Just adding margin. It's not much. I mean, the cover I can change to match and be a little bit bigger, but the interior pages, it would be a lot of work to go and touch
Margin,
everything.
so it's just more, okay.
It's just a little bit more margin on either side.
Yeah, so you're probably wondering if that distorts the picture.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, yeah, is
Yeah,
everything
well-
getting bigger, or you're just adding to the paper size?
Just adding to the paper size. And again, once we get proofs, if you want, if we're like, oh wait, that's way too much, it doesn't look right, and we need to resize everything, that's another thought as well.
I think we're saying proceed with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and thank you.
And is this something that we're gonna try and use out of our budget before the end of the year? Is that, I mean, we
I
have,
think it depends on how much progress we can make on it, because we don't want to rush.
We can like stop by and look at
Uh-huh.
them here or something and then,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll get them printed, see how long it takes, and keep Karen and Brian in the loop so that you guys will know when they're here to look
Okay.
at.
yeah.
Yeah, so I found my map.
front and back,
Yeah, there it is.
is it glossy? Is it glossy?
It's sort of a weird, it's a matte finish, but it does have a light varnish on it. So some of the heavy varnishes leave fingerprints, so this must just have a light. And I think that's what I expect in terms of pricing.
Daryl, thanks so much for your work on
Yeah.
that. This
Yeah.
is real exciting.
And I'm really excited that I'm sorry that we couldn't do the $2 and whatever price, but I'm glad that we're able to keep
Yeah.
costs down, because the next is a jump in terms of pricing. Like I found out it's around $8, between $11 and $8 per book. It's still,
Still a lot less than the $15.
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we should start charging more than $10. I've said this several times. I think I know the point is that we want it to be affordable for people, but I think 15 is a perfectly fine price for a book that nice.
Well, and the price that's stated on the cover says $21.95.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we can cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. Well, I guess next time we're open, we could sell them for more. The $10 is kind of convenient because the 10 denominations easy to work with rather than 15.
You got 10
Or
fingers.
20.
That's right.
And then just make it 20, there you go.
Well, we started a $10 thing because the, Martin said, you gotta move some of these things, you know,
Yeah.
books.
He wants it out of his office, that's.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Well, there's also future possibilities of selling on Amazon as well. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something that we can look into doing and having it available there.
Yeah, we never have gone to the retail side of the whole thing, so. It's another
That's a whole different area, but
Right.
not impossible to do if you guys are interested, so.
Okay, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Speaking of books, I have a note to myself here that Karen sent me an email about sending a book to Denzel's great-grandson down in Oklahoma. So we got that done, so I haven't heard back. Have you heard back?
I haven't. I did email him to let him know it was on the way.
Yeah.
So.
And so we
Okay, I
sent,
need to know if that's the same person that I have an address on. I'll talk to you later about
Okay,
that.
okay.
Because one of them gave me a name and an address at Denzel's service.
Oh, so it must be the same person, because when he emailed me, he said, you're Karen that I spoke to at Denzel's service.
Okay, yeah, there's a.
So I'm pretty sure it's the same,
Okay,
because I
that's
just
great, because I
ignored that. I was
had
like,
gotten to that yet.
Yeah.
like his name was Taylor or something like that.
Taylor is his name, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'll check, make sure.
Okay.
He got his book anyway, and I also sent copies of the nomination letter and the notification letter about getting the Square-Nell Award, so they can have that for their family history too. I gave that to Cheryl Valentiner as well. I can speak from experience that there was no cataloging filing update, no work done on that, I mean. Oral history project is probably still the same, let's see.
And she sent an email saying she met with the videographer.
Right,
And he's gonna do some sample.
yeah, so Jill has met, that's right. She met with a videographer who I guess lives in Rock Creek, if I'm not mistaken, and, yeah, so she wants people to speak in front of the camera, huh? Especially our,
So this is a future project that you guys are discussing?
It's kind of an idea of having someone like Bob talking about living in the mine camp for just a couple of minutes and having that as a, if someone comes by and,
It'd be like a walking tour thing where you could like go to the different sites and then there'd be somebody, like you could access online, somebody talking about each place for a couple
Oh,
of
so if you went to the museum and you used your phone, there could be a
QR code or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
QR code, right, yeah.
Nice.
So I think it's actually, she's made some progress on that the last couple of months, she being Jill. Correspondence, Karen?
Thank you notes have gone out to the people that donated money in Denzel's memory to us, so that's complete.
And how many was it? Cards?
4.
Thanks for doing that. Thanks to Bob for keeping track of all the dough there.
It was 4, right, Bob?
Right.
A total of 4 that we got money from.
Well, yeah, well, including you, there's
Yeah,
5.
only 2 thank you notes went out
Oh,
because
I see, okay.
2 of the people didn't want a thank
Nah,
you note.
Okay. I think I get it. Cemetery Working Group, Karen S.
Yes, so I did reach out to Doug and Eric from CPRA to see if they had an update for us, and unfortunately I did not receive any information back, so I think they're still working on the design, and hopefully we'll have something for us here within the next couple of weeks, and as soon as I get that, we'll definitely let the group know, where we're at,
Okay.
but they're still working.
And that 50,000 will carry over?
So not the total, but we do have, there is a.
Well, I know you spent some of it.
Yes, yeah. So I want to say roughly 30,000 is what we'll have next year.
20 was spent on working with these people.
No,
This is one-
that's just, that's not like a subtraction of what has been spent or anything. That's what they allocated for next year
Oh.
for this project, which will be plenty.
Okay. Historic photos of sports stable, Katie.
I don't really have an update. I think I emailed everyone and no one responded.
Oh, ooh.
I don't know if anyone remembers, but I emailed you guys to get feedback. So I can do that again. I know we were gonna,
Guess I have like
that. Oh, yeah, did I?
Yes, I have that.
Okay, and that's actually not the updated one, but at least gives you an idea. We were talking about January, but I guess what we'll do is, just really plan in the January meeting to finalize what it looks like, to finalize all the plans, and then we could like kick it off, end of January. And have it be kind of a promotion for a month or two maybe, and then if we get a lot from it, great. If not, we'll just have the town do a few and we could do one or two. I think that's what we talked about.
And be sure to let the CAPS committee know, and we'll advertise. And
Absolutely. Okay.
Support it as well.
Did anyone have any feedback on the flyer?
That was the flyer trying to encourage donations from businesses, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you pointed out some things that need to be done, like dates or something like that. I don't remember what. I think you said you didn't have all the information on it.
And then I re-emailed it to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you reach out to the chamber about sponsorship?
We're working
Okay.
with them. Yeah, well, we were.
Yeah,
We will.
We can still work with Tricia too now
Yeah.
that Heather's.
The thought was, they would really, Heather was gonna really help promote it, and that was kind of gonna be our engine a little bit, and if, at least, hopefully they still will, it might not, maybe it might not have quite as much, but yes, they would be a part of it, and help us to kind of send it out to their members and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I'll keep you in the loop on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even chamber connection. Chamber members.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Now, have the photos been designated? Which ones would be?
No, I mean, the only place we're at right now is getting the flyer and the program to look and feel the way we want it to. And then the thought would be to get it out through all of the channels that we can. And then when people say, yes, I want to do it, yes, I want to do it, then we would say, probably have myself as a contact and say, these are the 10 photos or whatever, 20, who knows, 3, however many people respond. These are the photos available, and maybe offer, maybe the top tier they could choose, but then maybe the lower we wouldn't, or we would just try and, if their business is in Old Town, then maybe we try and find one that kind of matches, but in general, we would just kind of choose photos, maybe with a little bit of their feedback. So, if that's what you mean by photos, Larry?
Yes.
Choosing photos. Anyone have any other comments on it, or? I can re-email. I'd really love some feedback before the January meeting. So that then we can kind of finalize it
Yes,
at
my
the
first
meeting.
reaction is that maybe it might be good to have a paragraph saying, Superior Historical Commission, the town of Superior would like to place historic photographs in sports stable. Make what the project is a little clearer.
Sure.
Add some verbiage.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I'll re-email it out, and then please, you guys give me as much feedback as you can, and I'll make the changes.
Yeah, maybe you can give us a deadline. We respond better when we have a deadline.
Now, since Colorado legalized marijuana, deadlines don't work.
Oh. Thanks, Katie. Now we're down to the holiday potluck.
Okay, we have 10 people signed up so far, and I haven't heard from everybody, but I think we gave everybody till December 1st to let us know how many are coming.
Put us down, okay, sure.
Yes, you're done. Yes,
Or at least
so we're
leave
just gonna invade.
leave the door unlocked.
Yeah. Put it down to the theater. Watch
And
out.
leave the liquor cabinet unlocked.
Yeah.
So, clarify, then we're gonna have it at our house instead of the clubhouse, or, we got enough room to handle most everybody, and so the Walgorskis will still do the preparation of the
Prairie dog.
grilled prairie dog.
I'm gonna start hunting down that.
I've already have.
Got it in the freezer with the little possums.
Freezer, they have the
You like it?
Roadkill.
Just think it's so silly. She looks forward to the prairie dog every year.
It's so
So,
long.
I guess
That's just a joke, but
so we'll send out, are people signing up for what they want to bring?
Yeah, they have, yeah,
Okay.
the 10 people have signed up for things they're bringing.
Okay. So, okay, guess we're in control, huh?
I think we are, yeah.
Okay.
We chose December 9th because that seemed to be the date when most people were available. I think it was between the 9th and the 16th.
Yes. All right. Anything new on the George Kuffner Memorial plaque?
Yep, just Brian just updated me and let me know that the Parks crew, they are working on installing the CAPS mural, so they kind of pushed the installing of that back, but they have been working on it, and we will have some photos taken to share of what it looks like with the group as soon as it's installed.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's gonna go up on the ball field.
Get the backstop. Yep,
Backstop, yeah.
at Kuffner Field.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it already, that's the one that already has the Kuffner name
Yes.
and the, huh?
Yep.
Okay. And Kuffner sign and all that, okay. Good. Okay.
Can we move the dump truck up there?
The dump truck?
His dump truck, George's dump truck. Move it to-
Well, that's it's on display right now.
It is, yes. Been there for a long time now.
Yes. They should bronze that or something. Part of the
That would be
memorial.
really funny.
Oh, gosh. Okay, Lindsay.
I actually tried sending this to Brian to print out, but obviously.
Yes,
that
and
didn't
when I
work.
was looking for Daryl's stuff, I just saw the email that Brian, because Brian's not
Oh,
working
yeah,
today,
yeah.
but he did email it to me, but not until after I had left, so sorry.
Oh,
I
no,
didn't get that
it
printed.
was kind of last minute, so anyway, I've got the list here. So what I did was just put everything in different categories, so like fall, winter 2018, winter, spring 2019, medium term, and then long-term priorities. So I can just email this around to you, and then when we're talking about the work plan, we can talk about the
Okay.
different items to add in. And then I still want to organize a meeting for talking about community engagement stuff. So we can do that in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, you wanted to do that before the end of the year, huh?
Yeah, and then, that in January or something, at least we would have some direction for what we want to do moving forward.
Do you mind putting me on that list? I would love to be, just because that's part of our cultural arts sort of wants to encompass and always encourage and
Yeah.
support the other committees. so-
And then, yeah, CAPS liaison is on the fall winter 2018 part of the OWL.
It's upon us.
Yes. It's moving right by.
You've got a little time before winter starts.
You want to throw out a possible date to get together, Lindsay? Or, I guess.
On the evenings are
Because
better.
You're involved in that four-letter word, I think, work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible.
keeps pimples.
Doesn't it? Makes you shudder, all right, doesn't it?
I don't know, I'm free on Tuesdays during the day or most evenings other than Tuesdays, so. And I think I got the next third Friday off of work in December. but,
Oh,
we can meet
well,
before
you know,
that
that's
too.
a thought, we could do it on, usually at this meeting or something like that.
That's the 21st of December.
Oh, that probably won't work.
Yeah, that's right, it's pretty late into the
Yeah.
month, isn't it? Yeah. So, this is the, I don't know, my
Yeah.
calendar up here, so it's the, what's the second Tuesday in December?
The second,
That's the 11th.
11th? So, want to put out a tentative idea of December 11th? Down here or somebody's house or something?
yeah, I mean, I can do any Tuesday if that works for other
I just
people.
pulled that
so-
one out of the sky, so it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, would we have the proofs for Lost Superior then too? Could we sort of have a mini meeting then?
I will let you know
Combine.
how long I mean, sometimes it takes about 2 weeks, but I'll
Right.
hopefully be able to order them this weekend. That would be great if they were available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's aim for December 11th then, because maybe it'll be,
Do we want to see if we can meet here or what? Do you want me to run
We
over?
can use the smaller room too, if it's available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Karen S. can do that.
Yep, I can check that. What was the time?
I don't think we set time yet.
Didn't say a time, did we? We had the date, though. so-
yeah, anytime on
Fixed
December
date,
11th
so-
before 6:30.
I'd prefer earlier, but I will make myself available, but I'd prefer,
Is it 10
Earlier,
o'clock?
like
8:30.
9, 8:30.
Oh,
9. But if not, then I'll make myself available.
Let's try for like
Should we
9.
shoot for
9
9?
a.m.
Cool. Okay, yay. And I will get stuff printed out before then.
Okay, that ought to work. All right, very good. Okay, so the spending projects, we already covered Lost Superior book, and so we did mention, Karen S. and I did mention that Pedro hadn't started, so you don't think he started as of today either?
No,
Okay.
no, Brian was having a hard time getting a hold of him, so,
It seems to be par for the course.
yes.
So he does good work when he gets it done.
Yes.
So again, just to review, we're going to be doing the boards, floorboards inside the barn, the floorboards on the porch outside the barn, and the floorboards on the front porch of the museum. And
Do we
That's all I have.
Oh, what about the window in the barn
I
that's
think,
broken? What is that?
I think the town staff was going to do that.
Okay.
They might, to get rid of through those other projects, maybe they can get over to the barn.
And
Replace that window before the snow flies.
have we talked about, right, just reinforcing it so that it still looks, that the steps still look old, or
Yeah.
at least, right, we're not just, we're
That's
doing
right.
something.
Yeah, Pedro's gonna find some old wood that's
Okay.
good,
Okay.
so it won't look like brand new wood, yeah.
You didn't mention the door on the barn, did you?
Nope. What do you mean by the door? You mean the door frame?
No, the door itself.
Oh, the door itself, remember, that's pretty bad shape.
Oh, I think when we looked at it, we thought it was gonna be okay.
You know, all right.
Yeah. We might do some stabilizing or something like that, make sure it's, otherwise we can revisit that, and take another look at it, make sure we're on the same page, right page.
And if we do 100 books plus the insert, what's the approximate total cost? I mean, don't we have money, right?
Yeah.
What else do we,
So if it's $693 for the books, it'd be, so like $700.
plus another 100 or more?
Probably 100 or more for the maps themselves.
Yeah, so we got to that point, we could finance it out of this year's budget, yeah.
What's it take to commit it? Do you have to have the project actually going, or can you just commit it?
We have to have invoices.
That's a challenge.
So we'll
Yeah,
get
like-
I mean,
We
it
can
could
do it.
potentially happen. I mean, we'll get the sample books and make some decisions, and then hopefully the order could actually get placed. The map could easily get placed, so that could be one expense if we want to do 100 maps. I could go ahead and get those printed. And then we'll figure out the book once we have the 2 samples.
You get 100 maps, that'd only be $100 or so.
I think so, I forget, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's
So let's say like 150,
Yeah.
it's 564 for.
Right, but it'd be worth getting those printed and having them.
So is that, did we decide, do you want
want
them
me
to, want Daryl to move forward with ordering the maps? Because then we can definitely, you know, confirm that in the
Look at a
2018
sample
budget.
first, though. Sample of the map first.
A sample of the map. I'll see if they will do just one like that. Sometimes that might not be
Yeah.
possible, but I'll look and see. I mean, I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get a
It'd be
very
the
comparable map.
Comparable quality to the one.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing I was thinking about the gloss, we don't want it to be glossy because usually when they fold them, that stuff cracks.
No.
And so I am sure it's more of a matte finish with a light burnish on it. So I could look and see what the smallest quantity we could do that wasn't crazy so that you could get a sample and see if you want to go that route.
Okay. Let's try that.
Okay.
Oh, and then we have this other expenditure on number 11. I think,
Yes.
hearing Karen's minutes, did we approve already to do it?
To have it moved, yes, but Brian had the update that he spoke with George Leo, and it was gonna be $700 to $1,000 to move it. So we
How
just
much?
need $700 to $1,000.
I think that's the number we had anyway, wasn't it? $700 or $800 anyway.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it was like 800 to 1,000.
yeah,
Yeah, that's.
So you
Brian
guys
just-
have to pay to get rid of it.
yeah.
Now, are they gonna move it, or cut it up on site?
Cut it up.
On site?
Yes.
Okay.
So it will be preserved in the Combine Museum of America.
Or they cross the street.
Is-
So that, and you guys
Yeah.
did already approve that amount then? So you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay,
We could
perfect.
do that.
I was doing some math in my mind, which is always difficult.
So just out of curiosity, did you guys try to put it on like Free Cycle or some organization that might be interested in taking it rather than destroying it, or?
No, because I don't think any of us knew where to do something like that. So, yeah.
It's just a thought rather than spending, I mean, you guys didn't ask for it, it was foisted on you, and now you have to pay to have it.
Yeah.
Well, the town is
Well,
paying.
but it's
Exactly.
taxpayer money, it's our money, and we didn't ask for that to be here, and now it's here, and now we're paying.
From whence did it come? From where?
A midnight
One of our
visit,
town
wasn't it?
residents brought it in.
And left it?
Out of the
From,
same family that's going to remove it.
Yes.
So they figured out how to make a profit out of it.
Yeah, interesting.
Getting rid of it.
They've been forward thinking
It's
there.
been a long time. Yeah, it's some, I think it's some farm over on Dillon Road or something like
Yes,
that.
it was.
so.
There
I don't
was
know
a
what other
similar
choice we
one
have.
at Cottonwood Farm on 93, I saw it, is it 93, 287, I think. Very similar, it just isn't bright orange, but, you know, it might be worth checking with them to see if they wanted another one. I just hate to see it destroyed.
Yeah, if it was had more intrinsic value, we might feel a little more sentimental about it, but, you know, it's not in very good condition.
It's really bad shape.
Is it?
Not related to Superior's
It's-
history.
But that's a good point, though, to have to pay our own fundage to.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. It's really a shame, and I think it's unfortunate that they're profiting from it.
It's too bad George Leo can't do some gratis since it's a town project like that. But it'd be nice to not have it there anymore. Any other old business? Okay. Staffing on December 1st and January 5th. As far as I know, I'll be around those 2 dates. If anybody else available, sorry.
I think we'll be around.
Okay.
Have we talked about not being open for the January one?
We haven't, I think it's.
I mean, I
talking
can't remember,
about-
like, did we decide that we really should, or were we just gonna revisit it? I mean, really, lots of places take breaks during that, but then people are on vacate, people are available, maybe, because school's out.
School's out, for sure.
I think we decided to visit it every year, depending
And
how
just
close
see.
it hit to the first itself.
Okay.
I think it's a valid consideration of whether or not it should be an automatic close on for January, or just play it according to what the weather seems to be like.
Other years, we've waited to see what the weather was like, but just never know.
By the way, I don't see it, is it on the menu, I'm sorry, on the agenda here about count the lights, because there will be no count the lights on December 1st, so we'll have our regular opening at 10 o'clock in the morning, so.
Yeah, and
Well-
then sometimes at that, it's nice to be able to tell people, like, come the first Saturday of the month to the museum, but if we don't have that event, then we maybe don't have as much motivation to be open on January 5th, but I can't be there anyway, so.
Well, heck, let's close it then.
I wonder, does Louisville stay open? Does Lafayette stay open? You know, during that?
Louisville does, but they have paid staff too.
Uh-huh.
So I think Lafayette's got some paid interns now as well, so. They're usually open on Saturdays. Lafayette, I think Louisville's what, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, or maybe even Friday now. They got a little more time. Well, it sounds like we're just gonna keep on playing it by ear then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl.
So much. Bye.
Thank you.
The light ceremony's on December 1st?
No, oh, you didn't get that message? Didn't you get that email, Bob? Yeah, they canceled the Count the Lights.
Oh. Okay.
It sounds like it's one of those events that's kind of, it's grown past its usefulness, and then they had an issue about the staff person left who usually coordinates that, and so they don't have the staff for it right now either, so.
So many people come to that, though, it's kind of.
I know.
Okay.
Well, and it's just this year. It's just being postponed for this year.
Oh, okay.
We as staff are supporting the Skate with Santa. And that's just for this year because, like Larry said, the staff person has not been hired yet, so.
So it'll be regular opening time, Bob.
Okay.
Available.
I'll try and be there. We'll see.
Do what you can do.
See what the
No more than that.
day-to-day.
I'll do Heritage Roundtable again, I guess. ANFRAM, that's a question mark because we don't know if they're going to have something on December or not.
Well, I have their schedule printed out, but they didn't have anything for December 10th, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, don't
I
either.
haven't looked to see if they've updated their schedule, but
They'll send it to you, won't they, Larry? If there's
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
So you'll
Don't
forward
you get it too, Larry?
I used to, but I don't now. Only if you forward it.
Okay, then I'll make sure I forward it. We'll keep an eye peeled for anything coming up on ANFRAM, okay? Speaking of spending money,
I was so excited to read your email about this. I think this is something we've been wanting for a long time.
so I approached, had a conversation with a guy I know from the Garden Railway Society about making a diorama scaled off mine and mine camp. And this is what he came up with. He said, this is just an ink drawing of the sketch he sketched out. So it's certainly not finished product. And he and I worked out a proposal for an HO scale. And so HO scale would be too big to show the mine camp. N scale is smaller, but there's not as much merchandise, buildings and so forth that would fit. But he's real excited about this. He would charge time and materials. It would be 42 inches wide and about, probably about 30 inches tall, maybe. And then the idea would be, I sent out that picture of that diorama up at Nederland Mining Museum. And so the idea, this.
Larry sent that by email.
So the idea behind this was show the mine shaft going down, and vertical mine shaft and horizontal mine shaft. And he would build the replica of the mine. And this little one on the lower left here, I might be in the wrong place, but that's the blacksmith shop, I think, and then the water tank. So we make sure you have them all in the right location, should we choose to do this. And the tracks, and then we put locomotive and some gondola cars and box cars on those tracks. And he would make people. He's his name is Ron Kaiser. Ron Kaiser, and he's
Did you see? Yeah, he sent it to me.
excuse me, world-class model railroader. He's got his model railroad, G-scale model railroad's been featured in Garden Railroad magazine, and he used to be an art teacher, so he's really truly an artist. I found out that he's been working with a guy who lives about 2 blocks from me for about a year, doing all of his scenery on his HO layout. And so I went over there last week and saw his layout. But he would, so he'd build the building, the tipple, and and some of this would be out of styrene, some would be out of, I'm not sure what it'd be out of. You can take a kit like the water tank kit and what we call in model railroading, kit bash it and modify it to match the one in the photograph. And then we talked about him having cable going down and having the cage that went up and down the vertical mine shaft. And I talked with him too about making a corral and putting in the mules down in the horizontal mine shaft. And he was pretty interested in that.
So what's the cost?
And the cost would be, he only charges $15 an hour for his work. So it'd be materials and how many hours it would take him to do it. And I did bring up maybe donating some of his time, but I would guess between $500 and $700.
No.
So what about, so you guys all saw Catherine's thing about her feedback.
Yeah.
You're saying he can't do the houses too?
We talked about in this scale, we could do maybe one house to show a demonstration of what the house looked like. But the scale is such that it'd have to be wider. So, if you did an N scale, he could do it, but then he doesn't like to model an N scale, so.
Is it possible if we ever got more space that he could like add on to something?
Oh, I think so,
size?
yeah.
So this could be like part 1 and then we'd have part 2 mine camp or something if we ever.
If you ever got another building or
Yeah.
something.
Is this one that you sent 42 by 30? Is it the same dimensions or just a sample? Do you know?
That might even be a little bit, might not be 42 inches wide, that one in Netherlands. We got 42 inches because that would fit about where the patrol is right now.
Yeah.
And we could move the other case over a little bit.
I think it's a great idea. I don't think that we should just ignore, Catherine doesn't respond very much to our emails, and the fact that she felt really strongly about this is something we should consider. And it is true that like the part, we're in a house that was there, and if we're not showing houses, the camp,
Yeah, he could make one, at least one as a, and we could use Alan maybe to do some labeling, to say mine camp, but arrow pointing that way or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Catherine's point's good, but I don't know. It's workable.
If you're restricted to space, you can only do so much.
And I think if we had that same space in N scale, we could put other buildings in it, for sure.
But he won't do that, is what you're saying.
I won't say he won't, he doesn't want to.
It's so tiny, really tiny. Of course, we can rearrange our room too. We could have this model in the corner where we've got the school pictures and the mannequin of the minor. And then you've got more room. You know, we could stretch out in various directions if we wanted to. And then, you know, again, move the display case. It's on wheels, move it to where we need it. Until we get a new display case that Katie likes to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, we're not set to do that corner where the Victrola is.
Well, what?
We're not, it wouldn't have to be in that corner, so we could have it like in the other
No,
corner
wouldn't
where
have to be
we
in that
could.
corner, but we also talked about maybe, circulating the displays. We can take the
Right.
control out for a while and, that kind of
Rethinking
thing.
what's in each area, because, I mean, like we've talked about, there's school stuff in like 3 or 4 different
Yes.
places and minor stuff and.
I can certainly talk with him more about doing it in a smaller scale.
Well,
It's
or,
42 inches, is almost 4 feet, so, if we start adding another
Right.
2 feet to it, it's 6 feet. And I don't think we want that to take over the museum necessarily, but
so 42 inches would be which,
wide,
this dimension,
yeah.
okay?
Will it be on wheels?
Yeah. We can,
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we'll put it on casters
And does the stuff come off of it? It's not like, it's not in a case.
it's not in a case.
So you just have to be,
The original
like,
idea
you
was to
can
have
touch it.
behind
You shouldn't,
glass,
but-
kind of, and obviously would add to the cost of it if it was a glass case too. So right now, I guess it would be open air like that, yeah.
Well,
Which
I
has
think
some
it'd be
potential
great.
Problems.
I think, I mean, yeah, I wonder if we could get are there products out there that you've seen them covered with plexi with a box, in a box? Or is the point of it so that you can go up to it?
I think to be in a box, I don't think that'd be, I think that'd be a pretty museum-like thing to do. But I didn't talk to him about that because he didn't come up with that as part of his idea.
I think it's really exciting. I think it's an awesome idea. I love the look at it. It's perfect for the museum. Explaining just thinking about explaining that to the kids when they come in and for
We
people
get
to actually
so much
see.
that trying to get people to imagine going
The
down
depth.
285 feet, and
Yeah, or even getting
And
people
he
to
does
picture
the-
like what the mine looks like on the hill.
Yeah, exactly. So he does he does the poster in the background too. That's all part of it, the little display.
no, not the one in the back. I don't think the one in the background.
It's like
Good.
part of it. It looks like it's part of it.
He could do that because he does that with his own scenery, scenicking as we call it.
Yeah.
Well, I would say let's definitely move forward, at least talking about it more and.
Yeah, see that one from Netherlands doesn't have a glass case around it either.
Yes.
I didn't think to ask him about doing
The light here, I can see.
the background. That'd be
Because
cool.
I think the background would be very important. Like you said, Lindsay, I think getting people to understand where this was is really hard. So having some type of background showing it on the hill would be important.
Yeah, now this would be sculpted. You'd sculpt the base. Notice how it kind of goes up in the background, so you'd out of blue foam stuff, insulation kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that other, it's a little different styrofoam, same idea, yeah. So it would show going uphill, but I've had the painting in the background showing the,
Yeah.
So, what should I tell him? I'd like to explore the smaller scale, so we could,
I'll ask him and see, and if, you know, he says no, then at least ask.
Or just give him our feedback about the houses and how important the Mind Camp is, and see what he says.
It would be pretty neat, but
But
Yeah.
we're definitely wanting to go forward.
we don't want to have to try to talk him into
It's
it, I
in
don't think.
Netherlands. It's in Netherlands.
But I think we're also gonna have to understand that as we get into that and it gets bigger, it's probably gonna be a permanent display, because there's not gonna be any way that we'll be able to take that down. You know, if we decide to change displays in there, which is okay, there's no way we'll be able to take that down into the basement.
No, I mean, I think it's valuable enough, we would want it.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Bear that in
It'd be a
mind.
permanent, it'd
We'd
be
be
a
able to like move it
permanent
to a different
fixture.
corner of the room
Well,
if we
yeah,
wanted
I'm
to.
saying we can't do that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you know, the idea also came up, some talk about putting it in the lobby.
That's what I was gonna say, another location for it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have stuff around where
That
we
would
could have like
be
a
neat,
brochure and something about the history, but.
Mhm. Yeah, we talked about that before too,
Yeah.
but people say, where is it? And you explain to them, yeah, but where was it? They still don't get it, so you gotta have the display, then have the, how to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
that would be great, because people always ask about that during the field trips.
Well, and just in their business too. Well, it's down about 2 miles that way. Yeah. He's, like I say, he's a retired teacher, and he's doing this to make a little extra money too, so he's anxious to get started on it, but I don't think we want to start it until we have our mission clear. Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just say present it to him and see what he says.
We could open up another Pandora's box by going to a smaller scale, because we put all 23 Mind Camp houses there, and boarding house, and where do we, if we could do that option, I've
That'd be
been thinking
amazing.
about this, we do this
Yeah, that would be
option.
amazing. But,
It'd be kind of like that diorama of Louisville, it's over to the Louisville Museum.
oh, yeah.
well, I think that's worth exploring too, seeing if he can add a few or something else. Yeah. I mean, this could be a really, really big addition to the museum, having something like
I
that.
think so too. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You didn't, no one flinched at the $500 to $700.
That's so cheap.
No.
For something, yeah.
As you start getting bigger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's.
That's very, I mean, for something that would be in the museum for a long, long time, that is very affordable,
Yeah.
I think.
You know, had to make each one of those little Mind Camp houses. He come up with a system. He makes trees. He takes pieces of sage and some twigs and so forth, and he'll make literally makes a tree on a diorama. So he's very skillful. So he could come up with a system. I'm sure.
And I would probably ask him if he has a contact to do a plexi, some type of case.
Well, you know, I was
Just
thinking,
something, I mean,
even
as
if there's
we,
only one in the front,
yeah,
Just, yeah.
just to have a little barrier between fingers and.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Plexiglass. Oops. Painting. Yeah, so I said, well, Ron, do you think it'd be under $1,000? Oh, yeah. So, you know, if we keep adding all this and get up to $1,000, it would still sound like.
Still
Still
well
seems
worth
very
it.
reasonable.
Yeah, and it'll
I
be
think it's well worth
very
it though.
special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
one of the
Well, let's see what I can find
best
out.
teachers
I'll
we'll have.
visit with him some more then. Thanks for all your support on this idea.
Thanks for thinking of asking it.
Yeah.
Good job, Larry.
He was interested in the fact that the mules were down in the mines. You know, so you can get stuff like mules at the model railroad shop. So, you know, those are available, and fencing's available at the model railroad shop and that sort of thing.
Seeing a
Water
lot
tank
of
would be too, but since it doesn't work in N scale, he's not sure what's out there for that smaller scale. Okay, great.
We could have giant mules.
big mules with the small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Okay. Thank you. The other day I gave Katie some, it's only on there for, just so you know, I gave some pictures to Katie for framing when she has the time to, no big rush, but I found a print of a watercolor of the school in our found in collection department. I don't know where it came from. And a couple of other things that she's gonna, you want to say anything about that, Katie?
No, but I will try and definitely get that all completed before the end of the year too. So might just be.
That'd be good.
Oh, and I was gonna scan, wait, it was the photo, the watercolor and that photo? Is it just those two things? It's on my desk, the back of my desk.
It was that map, that diagram or description of the Marshall coal fields.
Oh, yes, okay, that we have already at work.
That you have.
Yeah, okay.
Moses.
So, and the photo, we did a little, you gave me an original photo.
Yeah.
That we were gonna scan.
Oh, yeah.
And enlarge or something.
Yeah.
So but that would only be, I don't know, a
Yeah,
few
again,
hundred
that'd
or
be some
something.
more expenditures from our budget to
Yeah.
take care of that. Framing.
Yeah, so I'll work on that.
I forgot to bring my shelf. Mary's been advocating for another shelf above the cook stove to put the spices and things on.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm in the process of cleaning out my shop and anticipating of the move, I found a nice antique shelf. It's only 2 feet, it's 24 inches. I meant to bring it today, but it's already antiqued since it's very old. So I guess I can bring it to the next opening and see if that would fit.
What about getting the telephone?
Well, Brian and I talked about that a long time ago, and he said, well, we'll get Tommy to do it or something like that. It hasn't happened, so.
Because I was gonna say, while we've got the money.
Yeah. Generally, I don't know if we get charged when Tommy does.
Like staff, you mean Tommy from Parks? Yeah,
Right.
no.
So I wouldn't mind installing it. I feel confident enough, but I kind of have a feeling maybe, to make sure we haven't done anything in violation of our, the way the parameters that were set up on rehabilitation of the building. Of course, we have more experience with that probably than Tommy does, so he hasn't been around that long. But I was thinking mostly of using this town staff so we could have, more than one brain working on location, and because we have to drill through the plaster and then into the lath, which is good and will secure it. You want to do it, Wally?
No.
You and I could do it.
Well, I'd help you.
Yeah.
Cheer you on.
And then say, that's not what you should have done.
I want to see this crack start going up the wall.
Yeah, right.
Is it wallboard or is it plastic?
This is plaster, yeah. So it's.
Well, then, the lath in there is metal lath, I believe.
No, it's wood.
I thought they used all metal in there.
I don't think so. We'll find out.
Yeah, check on
Election of officers is on there. Brian put that on there because he's trying to remind us to approach this before election day.
Well, that's passed,
Different election day. So we have the election in January?
January.
Yeah.
Do the officers just serve for a
January?
year?
Yeah. Huh?
Do the officers serve for a year or for
I
more?
guess so.
Yeah, we do the elections every year, but the same people can be nominated and voted for again. You can serve as many terms as chair or vice chair. There's no term limit on that.
Chair for life.
You don't get a choice.
Grand exalted leader. So I think we have it on here right now, so if anyone's interested in becoming an officer in the historical commission, you can talk to Brian or Karen or me about that. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, all the offices are open, except we can't let Bob go and we can't let Karen go, so. No, just kidding.
Well, and I'm gonna have to leave sometime because I'm not much help, I'll tell you anymore.
No, you do a good job of keeping track.
Right, sorry, I got the.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time for us.
Bye.
Katie.
Bye, Katie.
You just got elected to
That's
it.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
All in favor of Katie being a step backwards, 3 bases.
Work plan review, so Karen S.
Did everyone get a copy of the work plan? I have more copies.
So Lindsay, did you combine some of the things into the work plan?
No.
Okay, good. So good, so we didn't duplicate. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So this is what we had last year, so I think the idea now is to take a look at this and then we can come in and, are we gonna work on this today, Karen? Yes.
You know, Brian just said that it would be something just for everyone to kind of have a look at, and then if you have suggestions, changes, additions, deletions, you can always email them or, you know, phone them in, and then Brian and Larry will work to make those changes, and then the first meeting in January, we can sit and have a discussion.
Officially approve it.
Yep, and approve it.
Okay.
And then we did receive a date of when they get presented to the board, and now I've lost that date in my mind, so we can get that to you at another time.
Yeah, so we, Brian's in the past put it on the,
Yep, he said he would do that in January.
okay, good,
Okay.
But it's just for you guys to be looking at it.
Right.
Going through, deciding what needs to be changed, if there's something that needs to be added, just, you know, just kind of for thought process.
righto.
Well, can I email out my list and then I can like put together something and email you and Brian? Like,
Sure. I think that'll work fine, Lindsay.
You said the count, the light count will be on next year then?
Yes, yep.
Or not.
Right now, the plan was just to take a hiatus this year.
hiatus, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't an overall cancellation.
Okay.
All right, very good. I put out this idea about, should we go ahead and meet in December, or should we go ahead and just keep?
Well, it
having
sounds like before we talked about this December 11th meeting, so I didn't know if you wanted to have that be the meeting, or if you wanted that to be like.
I think that would work. What do you all think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, and if
I
there's.
only brought it up because, sometimes there's a lot of end of the year stuff, and then it ends up being, Brian and I take care of it, which is fine. That's not a complaint. It's just, it would be more efficient to have a meeting, and I don't think especially that time, especially on December 20th, that's so close to Christmas and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
think
just-
if anybody has anything they need to bring up, we can do it on the 11th probably.
Then you'd have to like take minutes, I guess, and everything, but.
Yeah, so, and we'll have to, if there's 3 or more members in attendance, and there's any decisions being made, then we do have to make sure we post it 72 hours in advance with an agenda. It doesn't have to be a detailed agenda, it can just be the things,
Okay.
Lindsay's things and Daryl, and just anything else that we would be discussing, we would need to put on an agenda, and then post it.
And then take notes, take
Yeah.
minutes too.
Yeah, well, if there's any decisions that are being made or recommendations being made, then minutes have to be taken. If it's just a meeting where we're just discussing things, then we don't have to have minutes taken.
But if we decided to have like the books printed and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay. A little sunshine law action, it looks like.
That's right.
Okay, but let's just do that. Let's have that other meeting be in
December
December 20th, December 21st meeting.
And 9 o'clock, not 10 o'clock.
Yes, 9 o'clock.
And you'll let us know about
Yep.
room availability.
Yep, I'm just gonna see if I can get into that right now.
Let's see, so,
21st.
No, gonna be the 11th,
would it be our
Tuesday, the
whole
11th.
entire group or just a small group of us? Could we use the littler room?
The conference room, yeah, I'll look into both this room and that room.
If those don't work for some reason, we can meet at my parents' house probably.
Yeah, we could always meet in someone's house
Yeah.
too. It's a little more cozy.
How about your new house?
Less table.
Huh?
How about your new house?
Yeah, we could do that. Make sure you wear your foul weather gear though.
Hard hat.
Open air meeting.
That's right. Yeah.
No roof on it, I take.
No, we got a roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, but they don't have windows too, probably.
oh, man.
So,
I'll have a window to throw it out of, I guess. Yes?
I don't know, were we still discussing the work plan for this
No,
year?
we're ad-libbing.
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
Yeah,
Things as
actually,
the
we've
fourth
moved
quarter
on.
goes. Yeah, the fourth.
Oh, yeah.
Because we probably should look at the work plan for the fourth quarter. Have we actually contacted Boulder Open Space, Boulder County Open Space to request permanent signage?
Nope.
What
I
Bill
feel like
had on
there's
last year's?
so much
We have not.
signage that we want that we need to like decide
Yeah,
what it actually,
do it.
what that would actually entail.
We have not, and I think it's a good idea. We should probably prioritize it because we talked longer, I think, about putting signs by the farm equipment in the park.
Yeah, just on my list, it was lots of things about Grasso Park interpretation and then also the mine site and then the new trailhead that they're putting in.
Well, thanks for bringing that up because we just found out, I found out this morning, I don't know when Karen S. found out, but looks like OSAC is going to defer to us to make recommendations for the naming of the new trailhead.
Oh.
But it would be a recommendation
One right up
to
there.
OSAC.
Shan,
Yeah. So, and I'm still confused about that because how can it be a trailhead in such a small space?
Be parking, can it?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact details of how it will be developed or how that will happen.
Because I imagine the parking area and all that kind of stuff. Because,
And I can make sure that Brian and I bring some more information regarding that if you would like that.
When would they need the organization?
And so that's another thing that we would have to ask them about as well.
Is this the trailhead that's supposed to go off the roundabout into,
it's the Shan place.
the Shanship? So
Right.
how would you get
Yes,
into it?
yes, that is
Yeah,
it.
I don't know that either. How would you get in? You're not,
Yeah, so that I don't know. I can find answers to those questions.
we could come up with a name, but I think we're stumped on how the heck we get the access. Is it going to just connect with the Mayhopper Trail? Is that the idea?
And that may be.
Okay. Sorry to keep asking.
I know, I wish I knew the answers.
Yeah. But going to something historic and folkloric, we could name it after a person or a place or thing.
How close is it to that where the track actually ran? I know we have the sign for the depot, but
Not far.
it's close to that.
It's uphill.
isn't
a couple
It's uphill
100
from
yards.
Yeah.
the depot was down on the flat, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you go up there,
I think I
Yeah,
see it
so
when I
be
drive
up
by. I
on the
try to
hillside from it,
picture
yeah.
I've run it, it's pretty high.
Oh.
You've run that, huh?
Well, it's uphill, Joe. It seems that way.
Anyway.
Yeah, so we don't need to do it now. We just be thinking about it though, do something railroad oriented or name it after Denzel or something like that. It's not right where the industrial mine was, so we could industrial mine trailhead.
What was the rail line called that was,
Well, Colorado and Southern or Denver and Interurban, so it's Denver and Interurban ran on the Colorado and Southern tracks, but it was a subsidiary.
The kite loop.
They do the Interurban Trail or Kite Route Trail, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, we could do the railroad orientation because again, it's not just a few hundred yards off of the road bed probably.
And, or was it somebody's farm and that kind of thing right
Yeah.
there, that, to look into who had the property.
Somebody's farm could be good, because they have
Historic.
quite a bit of mining stuff already, but, yeah.
Okay.
So, be forewarned. Lindsay, do you want to go to the Historic Preservation Conference again in
So I'm
February?
speaking at it again.
You're speaking at it again.
but-
I guess you're going.
Yeah, I hadn't decided if I wanted to attend any other talks yet, which I would, yeah, that would, like, I obviously don't have to pay to speak, but if I want to go to any other sessions, then it's a fee.
What's your top, what subject are you going to?
I'm gonna talk about the mineral rights paper that I did with the industrial mine.
Okay.
So, you've already heard all about it.
Okay. Because, you want to talk about that now, Karen, or about the roundtable deal?
Yeah, so the Patricia Carmody from the Colorado Cemetery Association has contacted us because they think our cemetery restoration project is pretty exciting and very cool. The fact that we're bringing the past into with the present, because we're aware of and we know how much new development is coming in so close to the cemetery, and the fact that we're in the process of restoring it and making an accessible area before that development comes in, or depending on when it all happens, at the same time as that development happens, is kind of a cool idea, because what Patricia was telling me is that mainly what they hear about at this conference is places that have been lost, cemeteries that are gone, or that the development overtakes places of that nature and they just go by the wayside. So the fact that we're being proactive in restoring the cemetery, before or as it happens, is kind of an exciting thing for them. And they had contacted myself to see if someone from the commission would be interested in speaking on our project. I did let them know that we're working with Eric and Doug. They did contact Eric and Doug to kind of find out, how what the progress is on it and what we're doing. And Eric and Doug were very excited to see that they were interested in having someone from the commission come and speak about it. So I was, Brian and I thought we would ask Larry if he was interested in being, because he's the chair and because he's also on the temporary working group, if he would be interested in doing this. It's a roundtable presentation. There's a couple other cities that will be talking about their cemetery restoration projects as well. And so I just asked Larry today if that would be something that he would be interested in doing. And then if not, what we thought we would do is open it up to those on the cemetery working group first and see if they were interested. But the conference is in February, and whoever the person is that does decide to speak does get a free registration to the entire conference.
Do you get a free lunch? That's what counts.
The lunch is extra, I can tell you.
It's free if you brown bag.
Yeah, there you go.
Bring your own peanut butter sandwich.
So Mary and Karen and Wally are also on the.
Right.
Is that everybody?
From this group, yes.
So.
Where's that being held?
So it's at a new location. Patricia has sent me all the information regarding the conference. It is downtown Denver, but it's a
It's gonna be in
different.
Denver.
Yeah, it's a different location than it has been in the past.
It was at the convention center.
Yeah, it's not at the convention center.
I think I have a tendency to rotate it around anyway.
It has to be near an RTD bus station.
You bet. I would love to go again. I was supposed to go last year and there was a miscommunication between Brian and myself, so I didn't get registered. But I'd love to go. I do not want to speak. I'd love to come to your round table meeting. But I sure don't. I'm not interested in.
So Lindsay, your cost of attending are covered then, since you're speaking.
I can't.
Only that day.
Yeah, they told me that I can just speak but not attend any other sessions, so.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because they made it very clear, Patricia made it very clear to me today that whoever, I think it's because they're seeking us out and asking us to be a part of it. She said whoever does the speaking, their registration would be taken care of.
Did we finance your attendance one other time?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it was about $100?
More than that, isn't it? $225 maybe.
I'll have to look at it.
And it's
What we could do too is, send Mary, actually get her there this time, and then maybe pick up Lindsay's also, so she could attend more than just
Yep.
her own.
Yeah, I'd love to go to the cemetery one, obviously.
Depending on where it is, I'm interested too,
And
but
when,
Okay.
I know we don't have that much money, but I'd pay my own way. I'm
Yeah.
kind of, but it depends where they hold it.
We're looking at still having $2,000 this year, so.
Right.
yeah, so. And we used to pay in December or January ahead of time because it's got a discount.
Because you get a discount,
Yeah.
yeah.
So pay in December.
Huh?
Pay in December.
Yeah. So then take care of, we'd have the money to.
Well,
Yeah.
Why don't you bring it up with Brian, see if we
Okay.
review the costs.
Yep, we can look into
I
that.
can't think of the word, what am I trying to say? The cost to attend. There's a word.
Registration?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Registration fees.
3 to 5.
For 3 people maybe, see what
Okay.
that. Because I think there also used to be a group rate, and there's also a discount for
Early
early
registration.
registration, yeah.
So,
Is it still the first weekend of February that you know of?
That's the other issue. It's always been on the first weekend, and so we have our museum opening on that Saturday. So.
no, this time it's in like the middle of the week, because
It
mine is
is.
supposed to be on February 6th, which is a
Well, I
Wednesday.
think they had them on like Wednesday to Saturday.
I want to say it's the 5th, 6th, and 7th is what she told me.
Yeah, it's a different.
Okay.
So it says,
Let me see if I can.
if you wish to
find it.
attend the full conference or any portion of the conference
I don't have
beyond
it.
this individual session, you will receive a discounted registration for
Because
$50.
you've been before, probably, huh?
Oh, there,
So
so they
mine
do
is-
at least give you a discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, 5th, 6th, 7th is all during the week. On the weekend, so, well, if that's, oh, but also February 2nd is the first Saturday, so that's the weekend before. Now, if it's on the 9th, no, never mind. I don't have that obligation anymore. Won't have it next year. Okay?
It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or something.
yeah,
Okay. Well, let's see.
Oh,
look
so
into-
it says February 4th through the 7th in Denver.
but yeah, all during the week instead
Yep.
of on the
All
weekend.
during the week.
Yep, February 4th through the 7th. This is her email that she just sent me.
Do you happen to know when the cemetery panel is?
That they haven't told us.
Okay.
It just says it's a 15-minute presentation, panel, from any perspective that Superior wants to share about the project. And she says, you know, most often these conferences, we hear about historic sites that are lost, or their fight to be included in development, or they're fighting to be included in the new development. And so the fact that we're, you know, doing this side by side is pretty exciting.
Does it have the address there, just for change?
So she did not.
We'll get it in the mail.
Yeah, we'll
anyway.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, is there any other new business? Once again, we covered a lot of stuff.
Oh, she does, I'm sorry. She does have it here. The session title is Grave Manners, Planning Our Future While Preserving Our Past in Historic Cemeteries, and is scheduled for Wednesday, February 6th from 2:45 to 4 p.m.
Wow.
The same time as mine.
Oh.
Oh, is it the same as yours? Okay.
Pulling from your audience.
Yeah, really.
Yep. And then she did include a link on here to it because it's already,
I'll be darned.
it's up there, so.
Okay.
Lindsay. Teresa.
I would think you would be very good at presenting.
Thank you. That's a nice thing for you to say.
Well, it's the truth.
I'm happy to do it, so.
Super.
If anybody else wants to, would like to do it, I don't want to eclipse anybody here, so.
Not me.
Sounds like everybody took a step backwards.
Just what I was
Oh,
thinking.
no, not again.
Everybody, someone took, everybody stepped backwards, not you, Dorsey.
It's a whole different context.
Oh, that's terrible.
If there's no other new business, I entertain a motion to add adjourn.
I saw.
Oh, okay, I'll make a motion, meeting be adjourned.
All right, Bob.
I can do that
I'll
anyway.
second.
Seconded by Mary, and I think it's a consensus, so.
Aaron, do you have Cheryl Valentine's phone number?
I do.
Okay.
Thanks,
Not
everybody.
with me.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll call
Many
you up
of you on
sometime to
December
get it.
I'll tell you what,
11th.
I think I might
We
have it.
need to
And,
use Jane's
December
ability
9th.
to get
That's right.
text
It'll be
messages.
2
She
days
can get
after
text
our
on her phone,
public.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'll text it to Jane.
Oh, gee.
Oh.
Here's,
I'll tell her.
Interesting?
here's,
No, well, I don't mind.
I've got
Bob, you
Cheryl's
can call
number.
me also. I didn't mean I didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, we got it.
Mary's got it right here.
Oh, okay.
That's right, I got it on my
So
phone
it's
too,
303.
probably.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, there are
Alexis
things
and I
that there are
have
things that we need to get to them. We can text Jane.
38.
Yep, that's right.
She can even get
383.
attachments and stuff,
Thank you,
so,
Mary.
yeah, I do
I'll
too.
give her a call.
So Lindsay, what's your position entailed down at the Museum of Nature and Science?
I'm just a host. So, running the whole thing. Yeah, just get services.
Did you set up the Cuba exhibit?
No.
That
I want to go see that.
By host, though, you mean,
I bet you
because
do, because you've
you're
been there,
greeting
right?
people to come in and,
Yeah, I do the cashiering and ticket
okay.
stuff, and then we run the planetarium.
That's,
Karen, I'll try
Ron,
and
you
get
didn't
with
get
you
position
next week sometime.
this week.
Okay, on
Colorado.
the,
'Cause
Yeah,
I got
I don't know, they have obviously less.
with discrepancy here.
Employees.
yeah,
between my-
so your number is lower or higher than what
Yeah,
Brian
and then
had?
they
Oh, well,
also
there's,
outsource their guest
few-
services,
Oh,
so
they
it's a
do.
little bit different.
Well,
Like
there's
a
a
separate
$7
budget.
discrepancy here.
Guest
and,
services, staff.
So is there-
$10 anyway.
Okay, okay, sure.
I'll check
Or is it just
back with
It's a
you.
Cuba
Sure, no, that sounds good.
The
And the
exhibit too, that's
movies.
fine.
I think
Yeah.
the exhibit is better, I would say.
Yeah.
And
Not
the
to
movie.
interrupt
Yeah, the
your
movie doesn't
conversation
really have
here, but I'm thinking,
Much context.
Mary and I came up with $10 that we
I've
had
heard
got
good things about the
at the
exhibit.
4th of
Yeah,
July.
so I would, like, the movies we're seeing.
Oh, I think we
the
got, I think
exhibit,
I got
like,
that one in.
You got that one.